Hello, hello. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome, welcome, welcome to our town hall, our live Q&A with candidate for mayor, Mr. Joshua Brown. We will give everybody a couple of minutes to get the link clicked, see if we can make sure that everybody has a chance to hop online so that they can view the stream. I hope everyone is doing well. We'll give it just a few more seconds to give folks a time to hop online to join us. Hey, Trinity. I see Trinity in the chat. Who else is joining us tonight? Okay, we got some people coming on. I see you. Good evening. Good evening. We are getting started with our live Q&A with candidate for mayor, Mr. Joshua Brown. Hi, hello. I see you in the chat. Black Mommy, hello. Good evening. Y'all make sure y'all say hey, speak, be nice and Southern when you come in, right? All right, let's get started. So we have a moderator for this event that will be asking Josh a few questions, the questions that you all submitted for the Q&A. We appreciate you engaging with us on Facebook and in person at the events that he has been hosting at the restaurants around town while he is on the campaign trail. Good evening. I see you. Okay. Hello, Team Brown. We here. We in the chat. I see you. Okay. Let's get started. So before we start, I want to introduce our moderator for tonight. Okay, let's see. Cliff McCullum is our moderator for tonight. He is the former managing editor for Gulf Coast Media, overseeing 4 local papers, including the Baldwin Towns when it was Bay Minette's city paper. Y'all remember Baldwin Times? I remember Baldwin Times. I had a few pictures in there from when I was on the volleyball team, and it made me feel very special when I was in high school. Okay. After a successful career in media, which earned him multiple awards, including the First Amendment and Freedom of Information Award twice, he pivoted to public service. For the past 6 years, he has served as the Director of Constituent Services for the Baldwin County Legislative Delegation, where his primary role has been to assist citizens with their government issues and inquiries. All right, guys, I'm going to bring Cliff to our stage, and I'm going to bring Joshua to our stage so that they can have their conversation and answer the questions that you all submitted this week. All right, here we go. Everybody say hello to Cliff and Josh.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening. Hello, hello.
And welcome to, I'm in my living room. Josh, I don't know where you are in your house, but welcome to our stage. In the dining room. That's a good place to be. So if everybody's ready in the chat, good to see everybody here. We'll get things started. And guys, we're gathered together here tonight to do something that is so simple but absolutely vital. And that's to come together to ask questions and to gain information from a candidate that is seeking to represent you and serve you as the leader of your city. And now, this may be a different venue than our courthouse square or a church fellowship hall, but this space is going to allow for a lot more access and a lot more people to enjoy us. So, very excited to see that change this evening. The questions that I'll be asking tonight came directly from all of you. I may have polished them a little bit and put them in a certain order, but at the end of the day, they're not my questions. They're not the campaign's questions. Every single one of these questions comes directly from each of you that submitted them. And they represent the voice of the Bay Minette community. These are the issues that you guys asked about. These are the questions that you want answered for the person who's going to be your next leader. So tonight we have with us business executive, community leader, Mr. Joshua Brown, who is a candidate for the office of mayor of the city of Bay Minette. And I will go ahead and state for the record as well that Mr. Brown's opponent, Robert Wills, was asked to join us, and he was unable to do so. So, with all of that in mind, I believe that it is traditional in these situations to begin with an opening statement from our candidate. So, Mr. Brown, I will throw it over to you, sir.
All right, well, I'll just do a quick introduction of myself. Lifelong resident here in Bay Minette, born to one Eddie and Barbara Brown. My family has been in Bay Minette for at least 4 generations. 4 generations on the Mims side and 5 on the Brown and Adams side. So I am always loved this town, always felt a calling towards this town, even when I tried to move away by going to South Alabama and living over there. But I just came back home in 2021 from living only 20 minutes away and wanted to do more work in our community and wanted to be more effective. So that's me.
So, with that intro, why don't we go ahead and begin with our questions this evening? And I thought this was a good place to start because any candidate for office should be able to answer this question. So, to the person who represents this, is a great question. Why should somebody vote for you?
Well, why should somebody vote for me? I believe that my years of service in the community, from being a youth counselor, from being a volunteer in the community, always helping organize different organizations, different functions for the betterment of the community, whether it's for the kids directly or whether it's for the families. I've been doing that in this region for a minimum of 16 years now. Since I was 16 years old, and then graduated from high school, went over to South Alabama, got my undergrad degree in business management and marketing, and then returned while working and went and got my graduate degree, my MBA in business management. Throughout the 14 professional work years, 9 of them have always been in leadership. 9 of them have always been in managing people, managing company culture, and developing business. So I want to take those skill sets and take those experiences and use them as a vessel for the voices here in the city of Bay Minette to implement the change, to implement the growth and the community, the unity in the community that we seek to achieve.
Okay. What do you? Why did you, in your first foray into into the running for office, into the political world, why did you choose running for mayor? Why not start with running for, say, the city council? I have to imagine you've probably gotten this question before.
Yeah, I thought about city council probably back in 2020, but I had not moved back fully into the city of Bay Minette. But as you know, some of you may know, I live in District 5, and we have 2 outstanding gentlemen that are running for council there. But my calling for mayor was when I came back to town and I looked at the work that we were doing out in the community and how impactful that work was. But I just wasn't seeing the effects of it ripple throughout the entire community. Maybe it was happening in 1 or 2 districts, but it wasn't happening citywide. So I wanted to impact the entire city of Bay Minette. And what better way to do that than being in that seat, which is the mayor's seat, which is a chief servant role. And I want to lead by example of being the chief servant for the citizens of Bay Minette. That is what spoke to me to skip the city council and go straight into the mayor role. so that I can really implement that impact of change and growth that our city has desperately cried for.
Right. Well, and sort of in the same vein as that question, and I think you've already touched on some of this already. What do you think the city of Bay Minette's three biggest issues are currently, and how do you plan to address them?
So I think the three biggest issues for Bay Minette are one, water infrastructure, the drainage issues, youth engagement, youth initiatives, as well as workforce development. Those to me are the biggest three issues that I'm hearing back, and I'm also witnessing firsthand. Drainage issues a couple of months ago, we had a really bad rain that came through and it flooded a lot of homes. And this drainage issue was able to develop over years, things that could have been prevented. As I mentioned, I live here in District 5, so I know a lot about the drainage issue since there's a retention pond just right down from my house. Youth initiatives being number two, being a youth counselor here in the city of Bay Minette, I've seen a lot of kids and their parents. I've seen their struggles. I've seen their successes. I've seen our crime rate increase because we have nothing for our children to do, nothing to occupy them. And I hear from other people in the community of the call for we need to do something with our children. We need to occupy their minds, occupy their hands, so they don't turn into less productive behaviors. And then the third thing is the workforce development. We look at the average income for the citizens of the city of Bay Minette. It is low. I think it's in the 30,000%, 30,000 range as that average. So we need to raise all ships with the tide in that regard as we have this development that's coming to Bay Minette. So we need to be preparing ourselves to be in a seat that we can really take advantage of the growth and development from our workforce standpoint.
So I'm going to dive a little deeper here on what you've made one of your major campaign planks in expanding the services and activities for the youth. You can tell that's something that's very clearly on your heart. And so one of the questions that was asked was, how would you address the concerns that some of the city's previous youth programs and initiatives may have fallen short of some of their goals, and that yours could possibly meet that same fate? How are you going to make sure that they remain on track and also remain sustainable in the long term?
Well, the first step, whenever I go into a business, I have to evaluate existing attempts of accomplishing a certain goal. And when we look back at our history, it seems as though, and this is true, firsthand experience, we have organizations throughout the community that engage with the youth, but they're all operating as islands to themselves. There's not an actual connection. So the first step is to get those organizations, nonprofits, LLCs, even the schools, the principals and guidance counselors, let's sit around the table. Let's sit around the table and let's discuss the needs for our youth. Whether it's in academia, whether it's in academic enrichment activities, whether it is in actual entertainment. An idea that was proposed to me from a citizen was, hey man, get the schools together and every month a different school hosts like a field day on a Saturday. That way we can get the kids out of the house, have them, playing flag football or playing checkers or coming together with some tablets and doing some interactive activity that they can still use those brain skills from behind a computer, but they can also engage with one another. So it's being able to implement these initiatives as well as audit them and make sure that they're reaching all the youth that we're looking to attract, and we're marketing it. From my undergrad degree, marketing, are we marketing it effectively to our target demographic?
Well, I'm going to call an audible here and follow up a little bit further. So if you do that audit and you find that maybe an existing program isn't as effective as it should be, are you going to come to the council and say, hey, we need to shut this down, maybe reallocate these resources to a program that is doing better? Would you be willing to pull that trigger?
Yes. If we do that audit and we see that something's not effective and it's a waste of resources, yes, we pivot. We find a deficit, craft a new solution, and pivot and implement it. Now, let's be honest with ourselves. There's very little from a financial stance that the city can actually do to fully invest in that. So that's why we have to partner with the different organizations and the different schools that are in the community, so that that full weight is not on the city. It's a community effort.
It takes a village.
Yeah. So as long as everybody has some skin in the game, everybody's invested in making sure that it's successful.
Well, and that kind of leads into our next submitted question, and I'll get back to the script that of our citizen-driven questions. And I really actually liked this question, whoever it was that submitted it, because I didn't entirely knew what they meant, but I thought it was a good question nevertheless. And it was, what are you going to do for our city to make families feel like they are seen?
Yeah. Well, I spoke about, the schools and organizations coming together and having like a routine. We don't know the frequency just yet until we actually sit everybody at the table. But that uplifting the children, investing in the children also helps empower and uplift the parents. Now, while we're doing that, that's one avenue of making the families feel seen, but also listening to what the citizens, what those families are saying that they need. They're telling our leadership what they need every day, and then we go out and fight and work to get those needs in. I think there's certain initiatives as social events that can be created outside of just the activity day. There's social events to bring families out, and so that they can cultivate those ideas, share those concerns, and then there's a committee. There's several people that are there to make sure that that gets back to our leadership, and then we work on getting those things done.
Our next question, a completely different sort of topic. But I, again, thought it was an interesting question and certainly worthy of being asked. And it's about the potential for more annexation into Bay Minette and how to deal with that. This citizen felt there were hundreds of registered voters that are right outside the Bay Minette city limits, but still have that 36507 zip code, who aren't allowed to take part in the municipal elections, but they're still affected by municipal decisions and actions. So, how do you plan to address the concerns of those residents?
In the seat of mayor, the number one thing that I can do is present a plan or an idea of annexation across to the whole council. Because let's be real, the mayor's one person, there's 5 other council people. And then when we look at annexing in those individuals, those residents that are outside of the city limit, we also have to look at first responders. How quick can we get police force there, or firefighters there, or even for the Baldwin, the EMS services? All these things have to be taken into account, as well as, we probably, if it passes through the council, for us to submit a survey out to those residents to see what's the vibe on bringing them in. Because a lot of people are saying, I don't want my taxes to go up. A lot of people are even saying they don't want to abide by the city ordinances that are there because they can't keep a car broke down in their yard. And I fully believe that those ordinances need to be evaluated every 2 or 3 years to make sure that they fit with the growth and the trajectory that we are on as a city. So, but if we submit that survey out there to see what the interest is, then we're being told what to do then. And we'll have to get with the county, and we'll have to get, I believe, with the South Alabama Regional Planning Commission on how to redraw those districts and possibly bring in the Tall Pine Dais, Pine Grove, White House Fork, those areas that are just they're right up on our city limits. Some houses, if they just cross the street, they're in voting city limits. But we really need to reevaluate that and take a serious look at what it will take and what it would cost to annex in those people, because some of it, I mentioned it may people think that it costs more to be in the city limits. They may be paying more with the county than they are with the city.
Well, and with coming into the municipality, there's also certain city services and other value added bonuses that would be available to them that aren't currently available. You've also got the proliferation of these landmark districts where it blocks certain types of annexation as well. Y'all have two or three of them around y'all: White House Fork, Stapleton, and Stockton, the original one. Does that factor into what y'all think at all as well?
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing that a lot of people, it's a not knowing. It's a I don't know that exists, or there's some people may say. And so all that information has to be made available. We have to educate the voters and those who want to become into the city so that they can know all of the factors that surround what it takes for annexation. Because as much as we want more growth in numbers, so we can qualify for some more grant funding, so we can qualify for some more uh, eateries, and so we do have certain constraints around us now. And as your mayor, it's transparent communication. I'm never going to say no to an idea, but I will go back and return the answer of what I found.
You with this next question, you spoke on this briefly earlier as well, but one citizen was very direct in how they asked this, and it was, do you genuinely believe each district within the city receives the same amount of attention and resources? If not, which ones? And give specific examples of why not. And then if you are elected, how would you address this?
I live in District 5. I know that here in my district, there has been some seemingly areas of neglect, whether it's on Old Daphne Road, whether it is behind I think it's Jet Pet, Marathon gas station across from Coastal Alabama Community College, where there's a swamp that's back there. When we talk about water infrastructure and neglect of certain districts, there's a swamp that's back there that's supposed to be the drainage, not only for District 5, but also for a runoff for District 3. And that has not been upkept or kept up. And so because of that, that has led to some of the drainage issues that we have now, because we were taking care and we were trimming trees in other districts, probably because, based off voters. You know, they saw that most of the votes come out of District 1 and 2. Let's talk transparency. Let's talk real. This is facts. And those sides were catered to more than the other districts. And now in this election, we have the ability to make sure that everything is fair and even across all 5 districts. Now, does that seem to put more of a burden on some of the city employees? As long as we're taking care of our city employees, respecting them, uplifting them, and making sure city morale and culture is high, we can all work together to accomplish those goals. That would be, I think, my full answer to that question, those series of questions.
No, and I will say they were very deliberate, it seems, in how they use their language there. So
Yeah.
this next question comes from
Cliff.
Oh, go ahead.
I can speak directly. There's a retention pond, as I mentioned, down from my house. It took about 8 years for the grant to actually, once former Mayor Sonny Dobbins submitted for the grant, it took about 6 to 8 years for the grant to actually come in and for the work to be done. And this road that I live on was the same road for 30 plus years. It had potholes, it had all these deficits, and we would, go to school and ride around town and see other neighborhoods that seemed to be kept better. But I'm mentioning this retention pond that I'm pointing at because that was a runoff for District 4. And those 15 or so years ago, District 4 was flooding every time there was a heavy rain. And until that retention pond was actually pushed through, they kept flooding. And even with this last rainstorm, I walked down there, the water came up to my knees, and it was just a rainstorm, which tells us that there are significant issues with our drainage issue. Yeah, there's trash that has gotten in there, but there's some upkeep that hasn't been done. And that may not be because some of our city employees just haven't been doing their jobs. It may be because they don't have the tools to get the job done or the resources that they need. And we need to evaluate that. And we need to make sure that we're empowering them with those tools and resources.
Well, and as someone who is not originally from Baldwin County, not from Bay Minette, the amount of storms and water and rain that happens down here, it is hard for any city, regardless of their resources, to be able to keep up with those types of infrastructure needs. But I think does have to be addressed and looked after very carefully.
Yeah, we have some families who are literally watching their houses wash away, and I'm concerned for them for us being in hurricane season. And if there's another storm that's out there, what's our response for that? How can we help them?
These days, it doesn't even have to be a named storm. The April 2014 rain event was bigger than a lot of the named storms we've had come through here in the last 10 years as well. So it's certainly something that does need to be looked at. We're now going to move to a question from actually a local historian, our amateur historian submitted this one, and it is, should Bay Minette really be the county seat, considering it was stolen in the dead of the night from that Eden on the Bay, the Jubilee city of Daphne?
Oh, wow. You're trying to ostracize me from some of my friends on the Eastern Shore. But yeah, we are the county seat. We're the heart of Baldwin County. We are. And when Bay Minette was selected, it was because, yes, the railroad track, but we were centrally located. And we still technically are centrally located. We're in the best spot between 65 and 10. The roads run right to us. The rail industry is coming back. Got some friends over in Mobile who got on that Amtrak to go to New Orleans. But yeah, Bay Minette should remain the county seat. And in the next 4 years, we're going to show our friends and our brethren down at the Eden of the Bay in Daphne why we are the county seat and why we're the heart of Baldwin County.
Well, and full disclosure for some of y'all watching, Felicia Anderson over at Baldwin County Archives for many years has done a reenactment of the removal of the courthouse seat. Please take advantage of that if she does it again at Courthouse Court. It's always delightful. And she has, for whatever reason, always asked me to represent Daphne. And it's always just a fun source of contention to, get to play the heel. To use some wrestling parlance, I will play the Iron Sheik to Bay Minette's Hulk Hogan any day of the week. But thought we'd throw that in there because it is a vitally important question that I think your electorate definitely wanted to hear you answer. I think you did the people of Bay Minette well there.
Cliff, as we look at growth for the city of Bay Minette, we have to preserve our history. We have to preserve our historical landmarks that we have here in Bay Minette. We have to preserve the values and the things that make us that beautiful city. I appreciate this question because it really shows how people are still trying their best to discredit Bay Minette, but we are here and we're strong.
And coming from a railroad town myself at Opelika, gotta love a good railroad town. So we'll move on now to one of our more serious questions. Get back in there, and with the Novellus launch obviously coming soon, and the arrival of supporting industries there and other ancillary businesses, what do you believe are the best ways to allocate any additional tax revenues and income that may be coming into the city as a result of that?
Well, I think if we do not figure out, so first 120 days, if I'm elected mayor, would be to push forth a comprehensive analysis of the drainage infrastructure, the water infrastructure here. So as those industries come in and we're generating that tax revenue, if we have not already began or completed the implementations, the solutions for our drainage infrastructure, that's number one for me, as well as investing in those initiatives for the youth. So that those additional resources, the additional income that will be coming into the city goes immediately back to investing in the community and what the community has told us that they want to see in their town. Whether it is more parks, whether it is more youth programs, or uplifting the existing sports complex and the youth programs that are already there, or investing in our infrastructure from water drainage to the traffic infrastructure.
Well, and in that same vein, and it was a question that another person asked, and I'm going off of my a little away from my list to bring this in, but I think it is important. How much of an impact do you think Novellis is really going to be on the city in terms of new jobs for its citizens, for example? Is that going to be as big of an impact as it has been made out to be? What are your thoughts on that?
Novellis is going to be such a, I don't think we can really fathom just how much change, because we've been in Bay Minette and it's been a certain way for so long, that Novellis is really going to impact us on. But when it comes to the workforce development and the jobs, we have an issue here, because I my campaign speech has been on, I want to see 25 to 30% of those jobs that Novellis is bringing, those 1,000 jobs. I want to see those go to citizens of Bay Minette. But I was questioned a couple of weeks ago, and the gentleman said, Josh, you'll be lucky to see 8%. And I said, well, why do you think that? He said, because the workforce, currently you're not cultivating or working on the workforce that to for the ones that Novellis is looking to hire. So we have to, November the 3rd is when we take office. We need to partner with the coastals. We need to partner with the career center here and make sure that we're attractive. We need to go on a campaign and get some of these individuals who are here who can work there and make sure that they're being trained for the skills that Novellis is looking for, so that we can go past 8% and into that 20% mark of residents of Bay Minette that actually acquire those jobs. So, we got to look at realistic issues that are pressing right here in front of us, and what can we do now to make sure that when this plant is fully up and running and operational, probably in 2 years, that we're ready and that those jobs are coming to our citizens, impacting their lives so that they can take care of their families better. And, they can spend some money here locally with our staples that we have here and the new businesses that will be coming into Bay Minette.
No, and I think y'all are right there on that precipice for this kind of growth and expansion. It's right that the citizens should be asking questions about this. So I'm going to go to another one, and this I like this question, and I wasn't certain in the second part of this question exactly what they meant, but I'll ask you the question, and it's: are you going to be a mayor for the people or just for the money and the growth? And then they asked balanced, and I don't know if that meant balanced between for the people and for the money, like it went to the previous question, or if it was the balance was an independent question of are you going to be fair and balanced. So you can answer that question as you see fit. Verb liberally and judiciously, sir.
When I was a younger man, I used to want to win the lottery and have all these dollars and all this money. But I learned some wisdom and some experience taught me I want to live comfortably. and I want to do right for myself. I want to do right for my neighbors. As mayor, I'm a mayor for the people. And what does a mayor for the people mean? That means listening to the people, communicating with the people, making sure that the people have the resources, like the jobs as we grow, and like the income as we grow, that they need to become more productive citizens and to be able to reinvest in themselves and reinvest in our city. Because if we invest in our people, the money, the growth, the balance comes. But we have to invest in ourselves.
All right. Next question. And I think it actually has popped up again here in the chat on the live stream we're doing right now. So that just further proof that these are questions directly from the citizens, the constituents that you are seeking to represent. What is your plan to support our existing small businesses and encourage the growth of new ones other than getting me to come up there and eat at streets? Because I'll do that. I'll do that in a heartbeat. You just ask. I'll be up there in a flash.
Oh man, we just had an event at Streets, and I don't know if how many of the listeners or the voters have paid attention to a lot of the things along the campaign trail. I am very intentional on uplifting small businesses and our local businesses that we have. So along this campaign trail, we started out at Java J's having a coffee social. Then we went to Lucy Roosie's and had some cupcakes and conversations. Then we went to Shotgun Barbecue off of Cliff's Landing and had some good old barbecue. To El Monterey's on the 12th and tacos and good, I think it was Talk About It. And then this past Tuesday, we were at Streets. The idea was not only for us to be able to come out and campaign and socialize, but also for us to inject that cash flow from our community in our small businesses. We have to go out and patronize our small businesses. I'm going to divert back real quick. One of the things that hurt us with the youth initiatives, with the bowling alley and the skating ring, was we weren't going out there enough. You know, for some reason, the community they didn't feel comfortable. There's several opinions as to why, but they just weren't going out and patronizing that business. And eventually, due to several decisions, we lost that facility as far as the bowling alley and the skating ring. So when it comes to the existing small businesses and the ones that are coming in, one step is by having what are called business after hours every month. Usually these are put on by the chamber, but let's be realistic. Our chamber needs our city support. We have to work together, these entities that we have here in our city. We have to work together, and that way every month we're going to a different business, a different local business, bringing those dollars in, bringing those new businesses that are coming, and making sure everyone is aware of what's going on in our town, what's available in our town. At these after hours, these social events, the business professionals are able to network with each other, and they're able to refer business to each other or acquire services from one another. So that cultivates those dollars that are there, and make sure that we're exchanging them within as we continue to grow, and as new money comes in, it just lifts us up. And we love our neighbors, but we want to keep our dollars here so we can lift all the ships with the tide.
I resist the urge to ask. So, how long does that mean before y'all get a Chick-fil-A or a Foosackly's?
Those. When it comes to the Chick-fil-A's, Foosackly's, a lot of times they are based off of population. And unfortunately, when we talk about reality, in the last 4.5, 5 years, we've actually lost nearly 800 in population. We came from about 9,200 as of September of 2020 to just shy of 8,500 in September of 2024. So we got to figure out how to attract residents. Maybe that is annexation, but we have to figure out how to attract more people into our town, into our local businesses. We need to do from a marketing brain, we need to do a Bay Minette attraction campaign. Target the travelers, the tourists that come through our town. See where they're coming from. The data's there. See where they're coming from. Target the businesses that are doing a certain level of business with our current industries here. Let's geo-fence around where they're at and do campaigns of why they should bring more business to Bay Minette, why residents should move to Bay Minette. We want to really become very strategic in our approach of how we're attracting new business, because those new dollars that come in, all it does is raise us up. Because right now we're shoveling around, say, $5. We're shoveling around $5 between 5 businesses, but every business that we add brings in more money, and then those dollars then circulate.
Well, and to that end, with the growth that is projected to come, and we want it to come, what is your plan for improving public safety for the citizens, but also to better support and provide resources for our first responders?
I tell people all the time, I'm not the smartest person in the room to every vertical. But in order to improve public safety, the first thing we have to do is do a complete evaluation of our current Bay Minette Police Department, our current fire department, and make sure that they, once again, have the tools and the resources that they need to be effective. We need to make sure that, we need to check on morale. We need to check on the culture within those entities, and make sure that everyone is respected. There's work on the community to do of understanding who the police are, who the firefighters are, who the Baldwin EMS and all for all the first responders. And then from those first responders of, here's the community that I'm serving. Get more involved from a community standpoint with your community. Actually engage and know the ones, so that an officer can walk into Walmart or just be in the community patrolling, and the kids and the neighbors are just like, hey, Mr. Officer Brown. But how we go about doing that is talking with the chiefs first, and talking with their support staff and their men and women. And let's make sure that we're all on the same page, that we are here to support you. And, I had a conversation a couple of years ago with our police chief, and it was very enlightening to me, because I asked the question, why does it seem like there's such a huge disconnect between our community and the police force? And he gave me some very stark answers and opened up about some deficits that do exist. And I got excited when he gave me that response, because I was like, okay, what can we do from a community to help? If it's funding, how can we go out there and get more funding so that we can better support our officers, so we can better support our fire department? We need to make sure that we're investing and uplifting them as we come up with concrete plans to effectively improve the public safety for the community. Because we can't improve it for the community if we first are not taking care of those first responders, those men and women who suit up every day, not knowing if they're going to make it back home. We have to take care of them first.
Well, and to that end, this is a question that was actually generated this evening, and I'm going to do my best to parse my way through it and ask you. We know at times that politics can be a bit rough and tumble, and that supporters and candidates can sometimes blur that line between a fair competition of ideas, which is what it should be, versus a feeling that there's this win at all costs kind of mentality to politics. How are you going to work to try to bring people together? How are you going to create that sense of common purpose between all the people in Bay Minette if you are elected?
I am not looking to be a complacent or laid back mayor. I'm gonna be a working mayor. I plan on getting out there in the community. This whole campaign, for those who have been here, I don't believe I've had anyone yet walk away from one of our rallies or walk away from one of our events and feel down, because we're in this together. We have the same issues. We have the same concerns for this town that we love. And if we just communicate in the proper way with one another, we can come to that commonality, that same place, and get on the same page. A lot of times we may not be in the same chapter, but at least we're in there. And let's start there. And let's begin to cultivate the conversations and ideas to continuously bring us together. You know, I respect Mr. Wills as a husband, a father, a grandfather, as a man, but I just disagree with the leadership. It is not a scratch your eyes out and divide the town. No, we love this town too much. And as a Christian, I can't harbor hate in my heart for somebody. That's too much energy. That's wasted energy. It is my command to love. I don't have to be around you, but I still have to love you. I have to show you respect. And in order, if I want to be respected, I must first give respect. And so that, you know, from a personal standpoint and from a leader position, leading out the gate with that and making sure that everyone understands the mission, everyone understands the vision that we have, so that we can move forward as one community. Our campaign slogan is our voice, our campaign, our change. We are one in this town. Something happens in Bay Minette, everybody says, those people in Bay Minette. Well, we're going to show them what those people in Bay Minette can do on August 26th. And from there on out, we will stand united. There will be difference of opinions. That's okay. That's how iron sharpens iron. That's how we cultivate the greater ideas. That's how we are able to move forward.
Well, and I see in the comments here as well, it's not so much a question, but I think it's a mandate for something you need to pay attention and do from Miss Della Winston, and that is they need some sidewalks. They want to go walk, and they are having to walk in the street because there's not any sidewalks. So I would say as a mandate to both to you and Mayor Wills, whoever gets elected, build Miss Della a sidewalk. Can we get Miss Della a sidewalk?
Yeah, we're gonna need to get her a sidewalk there. But you know, there are so many. You know, the city does have a constrained budget. You always hear, you know, that be a knee-jerk answer back, but that does not stop looking for the funding, searching for that, so that we can accomplish the needs of our citizens, like sidewalks. There are some communities in Bay Minette that have sidewalks, and there's some that don't. We need to make sure that that's universal all around. Now, when we're building sidewalks, guess what we can also tackle with sidewalks? Drainage issues. So there's creative ways. Again, this just, you know, that pops in my head, but there will be a team of people for youth initiative, a team of people for business development and business attraction, and a team of people for the water infrastructure. You have the NBU, you have the streets and sanitation department, but we need to make sure that all voices are being heard in all of these departments, and we can apply for the grants. I've seen it very successful at our neighbor across the bay in Mobile, where Mayor Sandy Stimpson hired a grant writer. And a lot of people were like, why are you wasting city resources? But that has proven to be a massive ROI of someone who Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, I used to hear songs say 9 to 5, and I was thinking, what are they talking about? But, you know, their job is to search for grants, submit and apply. Search, submit, and apply. And if it can't come into the city fast enough, we have entities that we're partnered with. Or if there's LLCs or nonprofits that are in good standing that the city can quickly partner with, so that we can get those funds in and expedite the timeline to take care of our citizens, or whatever those goals may be, like sidewalks for Miss Della.
Well, and I will tell you, Miss Della, you are welcome to come down here to Magnolia Springs. You can come walk with me on the pink sidewalk down here anytime. And we'll go to Jesse's too. So we've got a few more questions and because we want to be judicious of our time here and know that it's prime time and folks are getting ready to go to bed but vital questions still need to be asked. We've got two more here. What impact does the new women's housing addition at the county jail facility have on the city and just the new jail facility in general? And then, of course, the courthouse expansion. What is Bay Minette's role? How does Bay Minette benefit from this?
There's always certain tax revenue that is always generated from initiatives like this. I believe that was about a 65 million initially projected project to build that jailhouse, and particularly housing the new women's division. That does mean we're going to be housing more inmates, female inmates that may have committed certain violent crimes as well. So this goes back to public safety for number one. We need to make sure that there's communication, open lines of communication and strong communication between the city of Bay Minette, the police department, and the sheriff department on how these inmates that will be housed in those facilities, how they're taken care of, and to make sure that the employees who are overseeing these inmates are taken care of as well. There's also the expansion of the Sallywag on the courthouse, to get inmates in there. So those will raise concerns to a lot of the constituents here in Bay Minette. But as long as we're uplifting and supporting our fine men and women who are there to transport and to oversee these inmates, we will be safe, as well as making sure that those tax dollars that come in go reinvested back into those particular avenues. I will always lean on experts in that field to tell us what is best for those particular verticals.
And now we have our final question. And I think it is appropriate to ask you this question because it's something that is probably asked of every single mayor in every single southern town, not just at election time, but probably almost daily in a lot of areas. It's an issue that people care a lot about. And I know that there have probably been elections throughout our history as a nation that other municipalities have had elections hinge on this single monolithic issue of monumental importance. What are your plans to make the high school relevant in football again?
Well, Cliff, you built that one up, homie. Yeah, you can lose the whole election off of this question here.
You can. Then Friday Night Lights will get you every time.
I really, we talked about youth initiatives in the beginning. I have a heart for our youth. But I remember a class, I'm going to get in trouble for stating this. I believe it's been about 20 years or so since we've had a class of athletes, not just the football, but football, basketball, all around the sports. I know the softball and baseball were doing quite fantastic over the last 10 or so years, but it's been about 20 years since we've had some state championship, matches, games. And here's the reason why. Because when you look at that 2004, 2005, 2001 class, even the 92 and those before, they grew up in Little League. They grew up in being 8, 9, 10 years old and learning what a team is, learning what discipline is, and crafting and honing in on their skill set on the field. We need to make sure that we're capturing those young people and starting again from the Little League stage and overseeing and investing in them, cultivating those skill sets and those ideas so that when they come out there to high school and it's their senior year, not only are they taking our Baldwin County High School Tigers to the championships, but they're getting scholarships as well, academia and athletic scholarships. We need to make sure that we're putting our youth first in this Bay Minette First campaign. We have to put them first because they're going to be the ones taking care of us in 20 and 30 years. And, we can get the awards and accolades from the high school sports authority, but we need to make sure that we're taking care of these children. So I believe that if we focus in, I love attending the basketball games and the football games. So I believe that if we put that emphasis back on them and encourage them, uplift the coaches, we can turn our high school football back into that mega house that I remember it being when I was young.
Well, and to that, I will say, go Tigers.
Oh, yeah.
And as an Opelika, we're not in the same class as y'all, so I can say that and not feel conflicted. Also, I may make a suggestion. You've got Coach Harry Shiver up there in Stockton. Bring him down. Have him energize the troops. Everybody loves Coach.
Yeah. So look, Cliff, we have some experts in the field. We have some experts of the game throughout Baldwin County, and most importantly in Bay Minette, in North Baldwin. And we need to appreciate, uplift, and invite them to come back and share that knowledge and share that skill with our youth, so that we can make sure that they're, hey, I probably can't get on the field anymore, but
look, just because I look like a linebacker doesn't mean I can play it. But I think we've reached the end of our questions this evening, and so I will, Josh, I'll throw it to you for your closing statement, and then I'll do a little wrap up when you get done there.
This is a Bay Minette First campaign. This is a campaign for our voices and for our change. I appreciate everyone who has joined in along this campaign. We have made history already because people are lifting their voices and making sure that our current leadership and whoever is in power after August the 26th and on November the 3rd, they hear those voices. Every idea that we've cultivated we don't let it go. We stay in charge. We stay pressing. If I'm elected to be your mayor, I'm all about transparency. I'm all about accountability and integrity. I will not be out here lying to you. Not saying anyone is, but I'm saying from Josh, it does me no profit. It does me no good. I am more afraid of my heavenly Father and doing wrong in his eyes than of anyone else. So I have to be true and I have to be honest. I believe in uplifting our small business. I believe in uplifting our families here and uplifting, most importantly, our youth. I am ready and qualified to be your next mayor and to make sure that we rebuke and kick out this fear culture and this culture of intimidation that we have a precedent here in our town. Every voice deserves to be heard. This is an election. This is, a campaign. But we are one here in the city of Bay Minette. And I thank you all for continuing to listen. And I thank you for participating with us along this campaign. And I hope to see you this Saturday. Starting at 2 p.m., Unity in the Park over at Blackburn Park. 2 p.m., we'll have the inflatables and the hot dogs and hamburgers ready for you and for the families to come out and fellowship, love on each other, share concerns, share ideas. This is for everybody. This is not just for supporters of the Josh Brown for Mayor campaign. This is for the citizens of Bay Minette. We will be out there. The program will start about 3:15, and at 4 o'clock, one of our own, homegrown, Mr. Kurt J. will be there to perform a concert for us this Saturday. This will be what Bay Minette will be looking forward to and having under the leadership of yours truly. I hope you have a wonderful night. I love you. Take care.
All right. Well, it appears that that will do it for us here this evening. Josh, I appreciate you taking part in this, and thank you for allowing me to be your moderator here this evening. And I will just say, Bay Minette, you have a vitally important choice in front of you next Tuesday. So please continue to educate yourself. But make sure you go out to the polls and make your voice heard. So for myself and for our entire team here, this is Cliff McCollum saying that's it for our time. We thank you for yours. Have a good evening.